debunked heliocentrism using my very own law, the law of motion. An object in motion will stay in motion at a constant speed and in a straight line unless it's acted upon by something. I can't refute what you're saying. The water on a spinning ball Earth would, in fact, move as well as the clouds and all the air particles. Everything would move to the equator, vacating the North Pole in all directions south, crashing at the equator from both north and south. I can't refute what you are saying, p-brane. Well done. So let me explain how this works using this rotating fish tank, right? You can let me, p-brane, let me explain it. So the center of the fish tank is essentially the North Pole. And as you can see, it is squashing as we predicted. And the water is shooting outward, something we did not cover. We did not add this into the model. The water would go in a straight line, as you said, p-brane. And all straight lines on a sphere are a great circle, meaning that you would traverse it without turning your steering wheel left or right, just dead reckoning straight, and you would bisect the ball or the sphere. So all great circles intersect one another, and they would all intersect the equator. And the water would crash at the equator from north and south, just as you've said, p-brane. Okay, so explain why the water is climbing the walls of the fish tank. Well, because the water wants to go outward, and it's running into the tank, and the only place it can go is vertical. So it's climbing the walls, and notice that it's climbing the far walls of the rectangular fish tank. Now, if this was a round bowl of water, the water would be evenly distributed, climbing the outer walls of the glass bowl. So this is it. The fact that we see still lakes and ponds and oceans like glass when the wind's not blowing proves that the Earth is not rotating. There is no colliding of the waters at the equator, as you would have to have if the Earth were a rotating, water-covered ball.
Can you not see that?
Right, it's completely busted. The water has to move. To see scenes like this, with lakes and ponds and everything like glass, it can't be moving. How dare you? Look at this above-ground swimming pool. When this guy pops it, obviously the guy on the boogie board thought that just that side would collapse where he was cutting it and he could boogie board out, but the whole thing collapsed. And notice that the water all goes straight out from center, 360 degrees out, right, from the center. That's what would happen at the North Pole. All the water would move straight and head down to the equator. And remember, this fish tank is on the gravity ball right now as we're rotating it. And the gravity's doing nothing to hold the water in place. This is what it would have to look like. Here's a fish tank I made. I gaslighted everybody because it's not really real. It's not real water. And the water is not being disturbed as it's rotating. Well, that's not possible, right? So this is fake. The spinning ball, Earth, is a lie. And it's flat, too. But this is a much easier thing to prove, and they can't debunk this. Because when it comes to the flatness, Neil deGrasse can say,
oh, by the way, you didn't ask, but I'm going to tell you. Do you know how high up above the Earth he was?
No.
So if you take a
63 miles.
Well, yeah, say right. So take a schoolroom globe, and that's how high above it is he? So he's about 2 millimeters above the surface of a schoolroom globe. So nobody has seen the curvature of the Earth from that height. I just want to make that clear.
And so you can never say you see curvature because he's going to say, well, you can't see curvature even at 63 miles up. So that's it. Just using a fish tank. I'm going to do more of these with more examples. It's the best. I welcome any college professor. Somebody said, hey, people, get a college professor to come over. Or go to the college and they'll laugh you out of the room. Oh, really? You think so? I don't think so. I'm thinking about doing that, going to my local college here and talk to a professor. But I have a feeling they won't talk to me. But yeah, You know, and one more thing, I just want to remind you, I said in a past video that look this up. Look up why water moves to the equator of a spinning ball. Look it up. Why is there not one class dedicated, not one video? I found nothing, and I've looked a lot. There's nothing. All you get is anti-flat earth propaganda. You know, I just want to know. There's tons of pictures. You can find a million pictures of water spinning to the equator of a tennis ball and what have you, but nobody explaining it. You know why? Because that would destroy the spinning ball Earth, wouldn't it? And it works exactly the same if you have the center of mass being where gravity is located and emanates from, or whatever it does, right? The water would do exactly the same thing. The only thing it maybe wouldn't do, it would be to spin off, like we see on the spinning tennis ball. But it would all move to the equator and crash there. And then gravity would hold it down on the vertical axis to keep it from flying off. It would go up, splash up, and it would splash back down, right? Anyway, that's it. This is just another one. Thank you, Newt. I appreciate it. I'm sorry that you had to be part of this and that your first law of motion, an object in motion actually it's an object at rest, will stay at rest, sure. But this is a rotating Earth, so the water would be rotating with the Earth. So an object in motion will stay in motion at a constant speed and in a straight line unless it's acted upon by a net force, p-brane, or some kind of force. Something would have to interfere. And now the only thing they're going to say is gravity. And as I've said in other videos too and stuff, all they've talked about is when they say no, gravity would keep the water in place, they describe a cylinder. And as I've shown, a cylinder, that would be fine if gravity was located at the pole directly opposite or perpendicular to the surface where you want the water to stay put. If that were the case, if the Earth were a cylinder like this, sure, you could make the argument water would stay in place. But it's not where it's located. It's located at the center. The pole is not parallel to the surface of a sphere anywhere except the equator. Everywhere else, and if you draw a straight line, that's why the only great circle, as far as the latitude lines go, is the equator. All the other latitude lines are turns, and they're also called small circles. Right? The equator is a great circle because it bisects the ball, but the small circles, all the latitude lines, you have to turn. And the higher up you go in the northern hemisphere, the more you have to turn, the harder turn you have to make. So this is busted. Thanks for tuning in. There's more coming. All right. Bye-bye.